Greetings. All right. For this video, I'm going to be talking about the FOIL method, giving a review on FOIL. Remember, FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. Um, Sorry if you're listening to this. Again, my dog is snoring. I hope it's not too loud that it bothers you. All right. So first, outer, inner, last. We're looking at FOIL. I know that in class we kind of had we made up our own kind of phrasing for it. I'm gonna have to look through the paperwork to kind of remember. I can't remember exactly how we said it, and I don't want to throw you off. Okay, so if you can remember, that's great. I will try to find it, and then I'll update that later. But it is first, outer, inner, last. So we're gonna stick with positives, kind of reviewing for this week, and then we may go into having one positive, one negative, and then we're going to a negative and a negative, so on and so forth. Okay, but we're going to build off of that. We're dipping our toes in the water before we dive in. Okay, so when we look at FOIL, a lot of times. One of the ways that I try to explain it to my students is, remember when we did distribution, and you had to distribute to each number in, say, a set parentheses. It's that same idea here, but we want to kind of try to follow this first, outer, inner, last thing. And remember, our kind of shortcut for it, if we can remember it, we can do that too. Okay, so I'm going to show you with positives, and then hopefully I can show you one with one positive, one negative, and then next week we will do the next two steps of that. Okay, so let's get started. You have x plus 1 in parentheses times x plus 2 in parentheses. Remember, when parentheses are next to each other, or any time a parentheses is next to a number, that implies multiplication. Okay, so when we look at x plus 1 over x plus 2, and we want to FOIL it, the first thing we want to look at is we're going to use this first. Don't look at that. We want to look at this first. We want to use that x, okay? So one of the ways you can do that x is going to go here, and it's going to go there. All right, so we're multiplying an x times the x in the other parentheses and the 2 in the other parentheses. So again, if this helps, what we can do, we can write x and say we're going to multiply by x and also by 2. Okay, you got your first part. Second part. Now remember, these are shortcuts because it will go first, outer, inner, last. But if you look at it visually, it may throw you off, but we are following that pattern. So now you have your second number inside, and it goes to 1 and it goes to 2. And then we can rewrite that and say, all right, so now I have 1 times x, and then 1 times 2. So now I have all of my information ready. Now let's put it together. X times x equals x squared. X times 2, you just put those two together, equals 2x. Same thing with 1 times x gives me 1x, and 1 times 2 gives me 2. Okay? So now I have the setup. I have all my pieces of the puzzle. Now let's try to put it together. So once you put that down this way, you can rewrite it across. What I like to do, let me use black. So now we have x squared plus 2x plus 1x plus 2. Okay? Now remember, This is another thing that we've been doing. We're combining multiple chords here. And now we have x squared plus 2x plus 1x plus 2. Look at this in here, 2x plus 1x. These are common. We can combine these two, okay? We can combine that middle. So what we have now, once we combine, is x squared plus 3x plus 2. And that is our final answer. So we want to go from parentheses, double parentheses, to one trinomial. Trinomial, tricycle is 3 wheels, so try 1, 2, 3. You're going to have 3. You're going to have 3 spots in your answer there, okay? And that's for positive. So you see, I went to the x. I have my x first. Went to the second parentheses, xx. Did my 1. Did the same thing there. All right? And that's positive. Let's try one with 1 positive and 1 negative, shall we? Okay? 1 positive and 1 negative. Let's just use the same numbers. Let's see how that works out. So now we have x plus 1 and x minus 2. All right? Now bear with me. I'm maybe writing a little bit smaller, but hopefully we can follow along with that. So again, I do the same thing with my x there and there. So I have x times x, and then I have x times, got to use that symbol with it, negative 2, okay? Got to use that whole thing with it, all right? Don't leave that negative sign there because it could throw you off. You want to include it at the beginning, okay? Again, then I have my 1. I'm going to do 1 and x and 1 and negative 2, okay? Same thing. So now I have 1 times x and 1 times negative 2. All right, now let's do the same thing. Let's get our answer, or let's get our 4 before we break that down. X times x, x squared. X times negative 2. Let's put those two together. So now I have negative 2x. 1 times x, 1x. And then 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. All right, I got my 4. Let's write this bad boy out. So I have x squared minus 2x plus 1x minus 2. Okay? Now my 4, I want to break it down to 3. So I need to look in my middle and I combine these two. And when I say combine, that means whether it's addition or subtraction, I'm putting those together. So when I say combine, that does not mean strictly add. That just means putting together the two factors in the middle, not factors, but the two in the middle where you're trying to come up with their answer, okay? So now, everything else comes down. I have x squared. Negative 2 plus 1 gives me a negative 1. X, I keep that x there. And then I go minus 2. And that is your answer, okay? So, just looking at these, so I gave you 2 examples today with positive and positive and positive and negative. Those are some of the problems you will see this week. You can go to the class page. Go to the class page and then you will click on photos and it will be labeled FOIL method. The assignments are there for the week. Again, you can also go to topics and look at FOIL method. And there are also YouTube videos that show you different examples of ways to solve those, because it may help you hearing it from another person or just seeing it in a different way. And then you have this video where you can pause and play as much as you need. I will try to upload this to the site, to Blackbaud, but it will be on the YouTube, but I'll try to make sure I can put the video over there for you. All right, so that is the FOIL method for this week. Remember, next week we will do, was it double negatives, right? So plus, 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 minus, minus, minus. Yeah, it's just a switcheroo. So we'll see how we adjust with those next week, and we will build off of those. All right. Have a good rest of the day.